Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today is going to be an art hangout. And with this video, my hope is that if you are struggling with art block or maybe you want some motivation, something to de-stress you, then I hope this video is it. So today we're going to be painting on this gesso board. It is size 9x12. And it is by the brand Ampersand. You guys have probably heard me talk about this stuff a lot because it's my favorite thing to paint on. It's just so smooth and durable and I love it. I believe it's also like, acid-free archival and coated with stuff to protect it against like discoloration. So while we paint, I figured we could maybe do a Q&A and make this sort of a real-time painting video. If you're wondering what I'm planning on painting with this, it's been a while since I have painted a portrait, so I figured if we're gonna do a Q&A, maybe we should do a portrait as well and switch things up. So I know in many of my videos, I test out art supplies, I give you guys drawing ideas, or I'm doing some crazy art experiment. But this week, I hope that you feel like you can paint along. You can even paint the same thing as me if you want. I just want this to be a fun, relaxing time, kind of switch things up a little bit today and chill. So chill with me, let's paint, let's have a good time. All are welcome here, even if you're not creating anything. If you're not an artist, you're welcome here too. I would love to have you. Before we get into the painting part of this video, I want to tell you a little bit about what you can expect from this. This is a real-time painting and it's a Q&A. However, this painting took between 12 to 14 hours to do. So I cut out a lot of the pauses, all the times my hand dipped into paint, all the times I stopped to critique myself because I did not want to post a 12-hour video. So the first thing I'm doing here is toning my canvas with burnt sienna. And this is one of the most common questions I get. So I'm going to start the video by answering this. I answer it from time to time, but my new people here usually ask, so I want to take the time to answer it. I like to tone my canvas with a light layer of any color paint, really. I just gravitate toward burnt sienna. But if you have like a textured canvas, it's really helpful if you don't want the white to show through, because once you start layering your paint and the paint is the normal consistency, sometimes people get really frustrated with the white canvas showing through in some spots. So to combat that, you can water down any paint color you want and just cover your whole canvas. Then you won't have that white showing through. A lot of artists also do this because it can help you judge color, or if you are going into a certain kind of painting and you want like a warmer feel to it or a colder feel, you can kind of lay down a base coat with that in mind. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of this painting here and there, and I'll answer your questions, so we'll just kind of bounce around and feel stuff out. I'm using acrylic paint for this. It is golden heavy body acrylic, lots of different random brushes, and as I said, Ampersand gesso board. I can link some supplies down below if you guys are interested in knowing more information. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about some of these questions you guys have asked me. The first question, how much do you spend on art supplies per video? Ooh, that's a hard question to answer. I don't think there's a set amount. However, I will say that my art style for videos and just art in general has definitely changed over the years. For instance, when I first started YouTube, I was a lot more experimental because I was just trying to find myself, what do I like? What do I not like? What kind of stuff do I enjoy creating? And so I think I spent a lot more back then trying to just figure myself out. And now that I've been doing art for a lot longer as my career, I'm a lot more comfortable with what I like and with what I don't like. So I probably spend a lot less now as far as just buying supplies all the time. However, I do think I spend more on higher quality supplies because art is my job, and I keep that in mind that my goal is to sell my artwork. That gives me a lot of joy, and that is the main part of my job, aside from YouTube. So I splurge on really professional quality stuff, like this golden heavy body acrylic paint. Each tube is around $10 a piece, give or take. It depends what color you're buying, honestly. And I splurge quite a bit on canvases these days. I like to get these ampersand gesso boards. They cost a pretty penny, but I'm also very careful about spending. And for instance, paintbrushes, I'll splurge on some good ones, but even though I make jokes in my videos about my crusty brushes and my crusty palettes, I do have spa days for my art supplies, where I take hours to clean them up, and I want to make them last because that's the responsible thing to do. That is a more sustainable thing to do rather than not taking care of them, pitching them, and buying more. Another thing is I guess now that I've been doing YouTube a lot longer, you can probably tell that I don't try out new supplies as frequently as I maybe used to. And again, that's just because I know what I like now. I love oil painting, I love acrylic painting, and sketchbook stuff. And because this is my job, I do have a lot of art supplies, but I'm very intentional about how often I try new supplies in videos these days because I know younger people watch my videos, I know newer artists watch my videos, and I want to be very intentional with them. And I don't want to convey the message that to be a good artist, you need to have tons of supplies. That is absolutely not true. You don't even need to have really expensive supplies. So I use a lot of what I have, and I don't buy new supplies for every single video. So if you're watching this and you have dollar store art supplies, you know what? You can still be a good artist. If you're watching this and you're an art supply hoarder who buys a lot of stuff, that's okay too. You can be a good artist. It doesn't really matter what you have or what you don't have. And that's the biggest message I want to send out. Art should just be fun. What is your favorite college memory? My favorite college memory, well, first of all, I just have to say I had the most amazing college experience. I did not live in a dorm. I commuted, and I commuted to both a satellite campus and the main campus because I lived near two of my college campuses. And I had wonderful friends. My professors were all amazing. I missed them. I had a lot of campus jobs, and all of those jobs were just wonderful experiences. So shout out to Kent State University in Ohio. That was where I went, and I just loved it so much. But my favorite memory, I have tons of really good ones, but my favorite one was when my now husband told me that he liked me. We used to do homework together all the time. One day he was acting like really weird, and we were carpooling together to school, and he was like, "Hey, I have to tell you something, but not right now." And he got like really weird, and I didn't really know what to think of it. So I kind of shrugged it off and kind of forgot about it for a couple hours. We went to our classes. We met back up later because we had physics homework. And then he was acting really weird. He kept looking at his phone and stuff and then leaving the study room and pacing around. And I was working on some of my physics problems because we had homework, and he finally came back to the room. He's like, "Okay, once you finish that problem, I have to tell you something." So I finished it, and he told me he liked me, and he was talking like so fast. He was talking like a mile a minute, and I honestly don't even remember everything he said because he was talking so fast, and also because I'm pretty sure I was crying because I was like so happy. He was my best friend for like 2 years before that. So we were best friends for a really long time. We both liked each other pretty much that whole time, but we were afraid to ruin a good friendship, so neither of us told each other. Anyway, he was talking for a while, and then the library closed, so we had to continue our conversation, and we decided to drive to like the only place nearby that was open, which was IHOP, and we finished our conversation. And I think that was my favorite memory because, you know, Dorv was my best friend back then, and we started dating, and now we're married, and he's still my best friend. And it just kind of trumped all my other college experiences because that was a very life-changing experience. And yeah, I love my husband. The next question, do you have any advice on taking your time on an art piece? I struggle with rushing mine. That is a really good question, and you are not alone in that struggle. Many people struggle with this. So my advice would be to try not to finish your artwork in one sitting. I think that is a struggle for many artists, and giving yourself the time and space to back away and do other things sort of gives you a clean slate for your mindset, especially when you enter that awkward stage and then you rush yourself through it and then you're not happy with your piece. That is the perfect time to maybe back away, go watch a movie, go on a walk, just go do other stuff for the rest of the day. Come back tomorrow. You'll have a fresh set of eyes. You'll be less burnt out. So maybe you'll have more mental clarity to critique yourself. I find that taking your time definitely is a game changer as far as seeing improvement as well. So yeah, my advice to you is just try to spread it out over a couple days and figure out your pace after you've done that for a while. For instance, this painting here, I spent 3 days painting it in multiple sessions. I took breaks on all of those days as well. And it was very good because if I had done this in one day, that would have been a nightmare. So definitely take your time. There are some paintings I do finish in one sitting, like my impressionistic florals. If it's like a 12 by 12 canvas, I can definitely do that in one sitting, but not very often does that happen. The next person asked, what is your favorite cheese? And what's the first thing you do in the morning? You know what? Whoever asked this, I think you're really cool because those are two very random things in one chunk. So my favorite cheese is definitely brie. So delicious. I like to just eat it plain with some baguette. So good. But I also like it, cooked with like berries and stuff. And there's just so many good ways to eat it. Love brie. What's the first thing I do in the morning? Well, I'm a very positive person. You guys know that. However, I am a morning sloth. I am not a morning person. So the first thing I usually do is sip some water, and I take my thyroid meds, and then I sip my coffee, and I stay in bed for a good 30 minutes. And don't look at me, don't talk to me, just give me my space, and we're good. So at this part here, we have the skin tones sort of figured out for this painting. Now, something I want to mention here is I did purposely include a lot of textured sort of brush stroke patterns with the skin. I don't know why, it just sounded fun. So you'll see that like up close at the end of the video. When I do some B-roll footage, you'll see all the little textured brush strokes. Yeah, I thought that was a really fun technique for this one. The next question, how do you handle bad comments? Well, first of all, this is an excellent question. I don't think it's talked about enough with influencers and YouTubers and stuff. But I want to start by complimenting all of you. I think we are in a very wonderful community here on YouTube. The art community. You guys, you all deserve a pat on the back. You're amazing people. I think the art community is a very friendly, encouraging, and uplifting community. I read your comments a lot, and I see you guys reply to each other and encourage each other, and that warms my heart. Now, 99% of my comments are kind. They're nice. I remember you guys when you come back. But I do set healthy boundaries for myself. Like, I usually only read comments, I would say the first 24-ish hours that a video comes out. And after that, I don't look at it as much because that's usually when the meaner comments start trickling in, is the longer a video has been up. Now, I do read comments further out than 24 hours on occasion, but it is a healthy boundary that I have set for myself, and it has worked for me. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, just ignore the haters, like, ignore them. But the truth is YouTubers are people. Like, we are humans, we have actual emotions, and it's not easy to just ignore the haters or the bad comments. I don't know why, but when you read a bad one, it doesn't matter if you just read 100 good ones before that. If somebody is really mean to you, I don't know, it just sticks with you. So how do I handle that? Not only do I do that like 24-ish hour boundary of reading them, I delete the really mean ones right when I see them, because that prevents me from scrolling through to find that comment again later and reading it again and beating myself up. That's just not healthy, and there's no room for that. So I delete it. That has protected my mental health quite a bit, so that's how I handle it. I also have a filter, so I block profanity and certain words that I don't want to show up in my comments. And that filters out a lot of mean ones regardless, so I don't see them. But I do that because I am very intentional about being a family-friendly channel, and I don't want like a younger person scrolling through and seeing like really inappropriate words. So I do that out of respect for all ages. I also had my husband go in and add words to the filter that I don't even know what he added, but he added a lot of stuff that I didn't think of, and I am thankful to him for that, because that has also just kind of guarded my mental health, I guess. Yeah. The next question, what is your favorite part about doing YouTube? That is hands down all of you guys. I just think it's such a blessing that everybody from all over the world has the opportunity to connect on the internet. And that means we can, encourage each other, lift each other up. We can educate each other on our different cultures. And all of that is just so beautiful that we have the opportunity to connect, Okay, the first most viewed country, I guess, the people who view my videos the most obviously comes from the United States. And that's because I live in the United States, so it makes sense. But my second most viewed country is India. And shout out to all of you, that's so cool. And I always see in my comments, greetings from India, love from India. And I just think that's so beautiful. I love scrolling through my channel demographics and seeing where in the world my viewers are from. My analytics tab tells me that, and it's just so cool. So shout out to everybody listening to this, no matter where you're from. The comment of the day, you can say where you're from if you feel comfortable with that. I am from Ohio. But anyway, yeah, the art and making the videos and stuff is fun, and I'm very passionate about it. But it's the people who make a huge difference. So shout out to all of you. The next question, how do you stay motivated through big paintings? Okay, well, first of all, this painting here is not big, but this pattern here that I just did on that shirt took hours. It was so frustrating after a while because my wrist, I had to, chill for a little bit after that. But motivation through big paintings, the way I view it is I do art for the process. There's a hashtag on Instagram called Do It For The Process. And yeah, that really jives with me because when I approach a big painting, I'm like, this is a big therapy session. This is great. And yeah, there's awkward stages. There are times when I want to give up, but knowing that that is my safe space for processing my own life, for just thinking about others and maybe listening to a podcast or an audiobook. I don't know. I love that solitude. And I just do it for the process. I don't know if that answers the question very well, but yeah. The next question, how do you price your art at a fair price for you and your customers? This is an excellent question, guys, and I feel like a lot of artists who go to sell their work carry guilt when it comes time to price stuff, second guessing yourself and whatnot, yeah? Can any of you relate with that? Yeah, it's a toughie. I still struggle with this, to be honest. The first thing I think about, though, with pricing stuff, there's a lot of layers, but my base layer is how much do your supplies cost? So let's break down this painting here. I'm pretty sure this piece of gesso board that I'm painting on was probably around $20. Each tube of paint is probably around $10. My paintbrushes range anywhere from $3 to probably $12 a piece. So obviously I do not use up a paintbrush for each painting, and I don't go through all of my paint per painting. So I'll take a percentage of the paint and the paintbrushes, but I will charge for the full canvas, So for this, I would say probably $50 or $60 for supplies. And then you have to account for your time. And I see many artists paying themselves below minimum wage. And you guys are worth so much more than that because Art is a skill that takes a long time to develop, especially if you're shooting for a certain style and whatnot, color theory. There's so much to learn, and you built up that skill. You are worth charging more than minimum wage. So yeah, think about that. For this painting, I spent 12 to 14 hours on it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sell a self-portrait. That's kind of awkward, but yeah, I would totally charge for all those hours. Plus, I would account for having a skill set that the person buying it may not have. It is important to account for your skill set. And then another thing is shipping. Like I have a flat rate fee for shipping on my website, but paintings are fairly heavy and it usually costs a lot more to ship than my little like $4 flat rate fee for domestic shipping. So I add that as well. What is your big dream and what do you still need to get there? Well, what I still need is time. But my big dreams as far as like career stuff goes is I want to publish a coffee table book with a bunch of my artwork in it. And I might have like some poetry in there or just explanations for my artwork as well. Just make it like a fun book to flip through, you know, like a coffee table book. I really love those, so I would love to create one eventually. Another big dream I have is to teach a couple of art classes on Skillshare. I want to do a water class and a couple other ones, but I won't give too much away because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Are you ever nervous to show people your sketchbook? And if so, how do you get over it? That is an excellent question. I used to be super nervous to let people see my sketchbook, but I think I got over it because in high school, I barely talked and people would just like grab it from me and flip through it. It was kind of annoying, but I think it kind of desensitized me toward people looking through it. However, I will confess to you guys that every sketchbook tour I do here on YouTube, I cut out certain pages, like I will not show them in my videos if it's more personal, because, you know, there are things that you can keep for yourself that other people don't have to see. So you don't owe the world all of your artwork, is what I'm saying. What is one place you really want to go? Man, I have such a big bucket list of like places. I really want to go to Denmark, Iceland, New Zealand. Oh, so many other countries, guys. That's like my thing. I love traveling. I want to go to just like pretty much, I just want to see the world before I die. You know, I want to go like everywhere. Yeah, that's what I'll say. Pretty much everywhere. I just want to see everything. That'd make me so happy. Anyway, this was a fun Q&A. I hope you enjoyed that portion. Here is how the painting is going so far. I finished the last like 2 or 3 hours off camera, so stick around for a couple more minutes to find out how it's actually going to turn out. I would say the hair was one of the most fun things to paint for this entire thing, though. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, portraits are fun. I don't do them super often anymore, though. All right, I have a confession to make. I actually had to finish painting this off camera because my 128 gigabyte memory card, which is not very small, ran out of room while I was filming. And I actually filmed 2 of these because I used 2 cameras. So that's a lot of footage. So yeah, plus I was like leaning in, doing all my little details. So I ended up going in and fixing the neck, and I'm really glad I did that. Brightened it up because it felt like the neck just didn't fit the lighting of the situation before. And then I also went in and I fixed the shadows over here. It felt like the white of the eye was way too light, and it felt like these shadows over here just didn't fit with the face. And then another thing I fixed was right here, this little shadow line by the mouth. It felt like it was way too pronounced, especially when I looked at my reference photo and compared the two. So I lightened that up. I do have to say, self-portraits make me kind of cringe when I do them. It just feels kind of like narcissistic or conceited or something, and it's not really my vibe. However, I do acknowledge that doing this is so beneficial because I will say it again and again, you know your own face better than anybody else. So to paint it or draw it gives you so much power to critique it accurately because you know your features. And I think it's really easy to spot like, ooh, that doesn't really look right. I still don't think this looks entirely like me, but that's okay. It means that I have room to improve and to grow as an artist, and I think we all do. We get the joy of learning art every day, and not only that, we get the joy of just learning stuff every day. I also decided to make the edges match the accents within the background here. If you look really closely, I added some like magenta brushwork here and there, especially like in this plant. And you know it's kind of my thing to pull a color from a painting and put it on the side. I like doing solid colored edges. I usually don't talk about the edges in my videos. So to answer a lot of people's questions, yes, I paint my edges, but I like to do solid edges. I don't like to wrap the image around the side. That's not really my cup of tea. Anyway, this was definitely a much longer video. It was sort of a hangout with me and paint. It felt like I hadn't done one of these in a really long time, and just to hang out with you guys and create in a chill atmosphere is really fun. So I hope that this video encouraged you to maybe bust out your art supplies, tackle something that you maybe haven't done in a while. And also, I hope this video gave you space to relax and unwind, even if it was keeping you company while you were working or cleaning your house. You know, it's still a fun time. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna let you go now because I rambled too long. Bye.